So we've talked about nouns, we've talked about articles in relation to nouns, and we've talked about our describing words, adjectives and adverbs. Let's move on to the verbs. Verbs are our action words. Verbs are so important for every sentence. In fact, the only thing we need to create a simple sentence is a subject and its verb. That's it. We can have two words, period, and that is a grammatically correct sentence.
We have verbs that are physical actions that make a lot of sense as an action, and then we have other types of verbs that are more of a state or a feeling. We have verbs like think. Of course, you can't see someone think, but we still use it in this way. The classic example of this is be. A lot of languages do not have be. They just leap to the next word in the sentence. Unfortunately, in English, it can be easy to forget the verb be.
Verbs are pretty simple. It's usually pretty obvious which word in the sentence is a verb. But we do need to be careful because sometimes adjectives can look like verbs. A lot of our adjectives end in ing or ed. And then again, we need to decide, is this a verb or is this an adjective, depending on its placement in the sentence. We also have gerunds and infinitives that are, again, verbs, technically, but our to plus base form and our verb ing form are actually acting as nouns in our sentence. We'll talk about those later. Our next part of speech is pronouns. Pronouns are words that can replace nouns in a sentence. So words like I, you, he, she, it, we, they. Pronouns are really useful. They help us avoid repetition in English. If we start talking about one person, we can then later talk about them using the pronouns instead of repeating their name over and over again. So instead of saying Susan went to the bank and Susan got out some money, we could just say Susan went to the bank and she got out some money. English speakers really prefer to avoid repetition anywhere possible. It just sounds better when we don't say the same word over and over again. When we use pronouns, we have to be very careful about where we put them in the sentence. We actually have three different types of pronouns. We have our subject pronouns like I, you, we, they, he, she, it. These can be the subject of a verb. So he eats pizza. We also have object pronouns. We have to change it when it becomes the object. So instead of Tim likes she, it's now Tim likes her, or Tim likes him, or Tim likes them, or Tim likes us. We need to use these object pronouns when they're in the object position. Finally, we also have our possessive pronouns, such as his, her, my, your, their. All of these show that an item belongs to a person. These pronouns we put immediately in front of the item that belongs to someone. So you can say her purse, his pizza, my book. I want my book. It is in the object position, but the point is that the book belongs to me. So we're going to use the possessive pronoun here. Next, we have our prepositions. These are words like in, on, under, to, by, from. They generally show things like position, direction. We're going to work on those with other topics. Finally, we have our conjunctions. Conjunctions are really useful words. They are connecting words. Usually, we use them to connect two clauses together. For example, with and, but, or our coordinating conjunctions, we can use them together to join two independent clauses. Or we could use subordinating conjunctions like although or because to join an independent and dependent clause. If you don't know what I mean by independent and dependent clauses, stay tuned because we're going to do a deep dive on all of our clause types later. And that concludes our breakdown of our parts of speech in English. I'm Caitlyn from iMac Language Services, and I hope to see you again next time.